Hey guys, what's going on? So in this video today, we are going to go over the farming guide for the stores. And so what you see on the screen here is basically all the events that we have in the game. And I ordered them in a way that is the order that you should be going for. Not necessarily that you'll be able to go for from the get-go out of the game, but what you should be working towards. And so the orders that we have all our legendary characters, and then we have the 4 events that are in game that happen monthly, other than Block Party, which happens every 2 months. But we have Black Bolt, Ebony Maw, Phoenix, Invisible Woman, Shuri. Then I have Taskmaster here to represent Gold Rush, whatever that mercenary event is. Magneto, Star-Lord, Nick Fury. Nobu represents Hand Catalyst. Black Panther represents Chaos Theory, which is the promotion credits. And Spider-Man represents Block Party, which is the ability material event. So the reason why I have this order is Black Bolt is actually required for Ebony Maw, so Black Bolt I will always put in front of Ebony Maw when it comes to farming, just because it's useless to farm up the Inhumans if you don't have Black Bolt. And then followed by Ebony Maw, Phoenix, Invisible Woman, and Shuri. Phoenix, I still think Phoenix is one of those top characters. In Arena, I know most people use Arena that are in the top whatever. They mostly use Black Order, but I still use Phoenix. Phoenix is used to actually counter Black Order, so while Ebony Maw does kind of stop people from using Phoenix as much, you still kind of use Phoenix against Ebony Maw, so that's why I still think she's one of those top characters. And then I have Invisible Woman and Shuri. Shuri and Invisible Woman could be swapped. It depends on what you kind of have a higher focus on. If you are more into U7, then Shuri. If you are more into Arena, then probably Invisible Woman. But I also use Invisible Woman in Arena, so I'm a little bit biased. So those are the 5 legendaries that I think you should hold highest. And then there's Taskmaster, which represents that mercenary event. I think gold is just so important in this game that you should prioritize it over Magneto, Star-Lord, and basically the rest of the stuff, just because. But let's get right into the guide. So what we're going to start off with is Blitz first. So here is your Blitz farm. As you can see, we have them in the order that they correspond with their events, stopping with Ant-Man. So we have Rhino first. Rhino is used for both Shuri and Invisible Woman. Then we have Spider-Man and Miles. Then we have Merc Riot Guard, which is used for the mercenary event. Then we have Toad, which is used for Magneto. Magneto requires Brotherhood or X-Men. So Toad being in the Blitz is the easiest character to farm for Magneto. Then we have Mantis, Gamora, Ravager, Boomer for Star-Lord. Kree Royal Guard for Nick Fury. Luke Cage for Block Party, and the rest are kind of in the order that I feel they are the best characters, except for Ant-Man. The only reason why I have Ant-Man before Thing is because occasionally, and I'm sure they will do it in the future, occasionally they have an Ant-Man and Wasp event, which you can get a ton of T4s. So I would honestly prioritize getting him to 7 stars, because it does require a 7-star Ant-Man and a 7-star Wasp to get that done. But if you don't care about that at all, then go ahead and throw Ant-Man probably behind Crossbones, or probably in front of Crossbones. And then, I think Fantastic Four is, probably the next best team, then probably Marauders, then Hydra defense for Blitz, and then AIM Monstrosity, you can use him on AIM. I don't really use him on AIM. I use Ultron in my AIM team, and the Crossbones is useless. So, I will say Blitz is the easiest place to farm. The hardest, not necessarily hardest, because when it comes to farming, something isn't necessarily hard, it's just the long term of it. So blitzing, you can get 15 shards per day if you don't open orbs, or you can open orbs and get, however many. So basically more than 50% of the characters in the Blitz store, or that you could open for a Blitz orb, can be used for an event. So I would always, if I were to start new, I would go for Blitz orbs, just because you can cover a plethora. But if you know what you're going for, and you're going for Shuri, or for an Invisible Woman, or for the Merc event, then I would say then you can probably start going for those individual characters. A lot of people argue with me about this. I think for both Shuri and for Star-Lord, you should use the Blitz characters that are available, because it is your easiest farm. To get a character from basically not having any shards to 7-starring a character, it takes 810 shards. So to farm that from the campaign, that would take 270 days if you got a 30% drop rate, which is just not feasible. And granted, you can open orbs and stuff, but let's just talk about concrete numbers, I guess. When it comes to Blitz, you're getting 15 shards a day. I don't know the math off the top of my head, but it's by far your easiest farm when it comes to this type of stuff. So if you are Either if you are trying to go broad, go for orbs. If you're trying to be focused, then go for individual characters so you can get the most character shards per day. But again, the reason why I recommend Miles and Spider-Man going for Shuri, yes, you can unlock Shuri with Sinister Six, but you will get there a lot faster with Miles and with Spider-Man. Same thing with Star-Lord. Yes, you can just use Mantis and Gamora and drop Ravager Boomer, but you will get there a lot sooner with Mantis, Gamora, and Ravager Boomer. So that's my recommendation for Blitz. Let's move on to the Arena Store. So by the time this video is out, Blob will probably be added into the Arena Store. He got announced that he would be in the Arena Store over the weekend, so he is in here as well, even though he might not be there in game. If I don't know when this video is going to come out, but if he's not there in game, he will be there eventually. But in the order we have him in, we have Heimdall, which will help you get Black Bolt, Quake and Crystal, which will help you get Ebony Maw, Mortal will help you get Phoenix, Vulture will help you get Shuri or Invisible Woman, Deadpool you can use in the Mercenary event, Juggernaut and Blob will help you get Magneto, Hand Archers for the Catalyst, and Baku's for Chaos Theory, and Daredevil is there for the City Hero event, Block Party, and then the rest is in the order that you can go for. I have Drax in there if you want to use Drax to get Star-Lord. I honestly think you should prioritize these characters first, and we'll talk about that once we get to the raid characters. But basically, I think these characters are way more important to get so before Star-Lord. I know a lot of people recommend Star-Lord for Dark Dimensions 2. I actually have a video out of showing a team that can beat Dark Dimensions 2 in a day, mostly on auto. So you guys should check that out, and it doesn't require Star-Lord. But basically, yeah. So that's why I'm kind of dropping Drax down, but he still is up there. Then you have Shield Security. If you want to go for Iron Man, you go for Iron Man. Shield Security can help you get there. And then I have Scarlet Witch up there. Similar to the Ant-Man and Wasp event, there is an event with Scarlet Witch and Miss Marvel. I believe it's called The Witch and the Bendy Girl or something like that. I have not seen it ever since it came out, but if they're bringing back the Wasp event, an Ant-Man event, then they could possibly bring that back in the future. So I would say maybe you want to get her done. She's also used on Supernatural, so she's not bad. Then you have Human Torch, who's on that Fantastic Four team. Then you have Hydra Guard and Aim Researcher. Aim Researcher I never use, and Hydra Guard's on my Hydra defense team. The only reason why Hydra is a decent defense, but they're countered by two specific teams now, so they're not as important as they were. But yeah, basically this should help you get the best legendaries to the worst. Obviously, what I actually recommend, because like I said, your campaign nodes will take you the longest, but this is probably your second longest farm. I have the Blitz store 100% complete. I have the Raid store 100% complete. Arena, I have never had 100% complete. I am honestly currently farming Human Torch right now. I'm not going to move to Blob. I'm going to keep Human Torch just because I have a 7-star Magneto. But Human Torch is who I'm working on right now. Hand Archers, who also I'm working on. Blob, and then Hydra Guard and Aim Researcher. When I first started this game, I didn't prioritize Arena, but now I'm ending up in the top 50, and I still have not completed the Arena store. So this is not necessarily a long farm. It's just it's the most competitive store, I guess you could say, based on how much Arena credits you're getting per day. So you get 250 from just doing the dailies, and then wherever you're ending up with your rewards and stuff. So I think Arena store, you should save your campaign farming for campaign only characters, or characters that don't have multiple legendary characters that don't have multiple options. But yeah, basically this is your second hardest farming location, or second longest farming location, I would say. So let's move on to the raid characters. So here are your raid farm characters. In the order, we have Thor, who's used for Black Bolt. Ronin's used for Phoenix. Mysterio is used for Shuri or Invisible Woman. Killmonger's for the Mercenary event. Merc Soldier's for the Mercenary event. Sabretooth is for Magneto. Rocket is for Star-Lord. Ravager Stitcher is for Star-Lord. Kree Oracle is for Nick Fury. Hand Sentries for the Hand Catalyst. And Shield Troopers for Iron Man. If you don't care about getting Iron Man, then probably slot him back behind War Machine. I don't know, it's tricky where these last two characters and Shield Trooper, if you're not going for Iron Man, I couldn't tell you who's best. Probably Shield Trooper, just because you can take him up to gear 14 without using gear 14 pieces, but I would not recommend that. But basically, so Star-Lord can be farmed by using Blitz characters and raid characters. You don't need to farm any other characters to get him unlocked. For the Ravagers, I would recommend getting them up to level 60, get them to tier 8, and don't put any purple gear on them, and you should be able to unlock Star-Lord. You should honestly be able to unlock Star-Lord with less on them, especially if you have a higher rocket or anything. But I know a lot of beginner guides and stuff suggest you get Groot and stuff to unlock Star-Lord, but if you want to unlock Star-Lord the quickest way, I think this is the quickest way. So in this orb, if you were to go for the orb route specifically, at 2/3 of this orb is used for legendary characters or used for events. If you throw in Shield Trooper, it's a little bit higher than 2/3. But yeah, basically, again, I think Fantastic Four is better than Power Armor, and then that's kind of why it's slotted that way. But again, I have the raid orb. I have the raid store done. When you get to a point where you have the raid store done, or you're down to the last couple of characters, then maybe you should go for individual shards, especially if you're trying to go more broad. But if you want to go a focused route, this is the way to go. I still think raid orbs are probably the best way to go to begin with, and then once you kind of get going, then you can start going for individual characters. But yeah, so here is your raid store farm order. Next up, we're going to go over war. War is a little bit tricky, but hopefully I can explain it well enough. So here we have your war farm. Basically, Sif is you have to get Sif from the war store. There's no other way to farm her conveniently. And then I have Mr. Sinister and Carnage up there as well. Mr. Sinister is basically a legendary character in himself. He is really, really good. I think he will have a lot of longevity in this game because he can clone characters. So let's say you miss out on a new legendary and you're competitive in arena, Mr. Sinister can clone that character. Carnage, the reason why I have Carnage up there, you can use him to unlock Shuri and Invisible Woman. I wouldn't recommend it. I would say if you have a lot of war credits left over, go for unlocking Carnage and go for unlocking Graviton, just so you have them in your roster and you can develop them. And then I have Nobu up there. I would say never ever farm Nobu from the war store, but if the Phoenix event is going on and you're 10 shards away from 7-starring Phoenix or unlocking Phoenix, then you can probably go for Nobu in the war store. Again, long term, that's kind of a waste, but really, if you really just want to unlock Phoenix, then do that. But Sif, you have to get from the war store, and I would say Mr. Sinister, you have to get from the war store. Carnage, I know he's a 100 shard unlock for new characters, I believe. I don't know if they've changed it, but you have to get him from the war store. It sucks. The only thing other than Sif and Sinister that you should be farming from the war store is the superior mini uniques. They are always the underneath the characters. They're the 3rd gold gear to the left corner. These are always important. I always recommend that if you have less than 15, you should for sure buy them. Also, for sure buy the bio ones and the tech ones, because there's a lot of good tech characters. There's a lot of good bio characters. There's a lot of good mutant characters as well, and Mystic as well, but skill you can pretty much skip on. But bio and tech are way more important because there's a lot of great characters that you can use for that. Also, in this, Carnage is pretty vital for Dark Dimensions 3 for those last city nodes, so that's why I would recommend them. And then Graviton, I have Graviton in there because it's the only location you can farm him. There's the other characters that are in those nodes, like Shield Operative, Cable, Ravager, Bruiser. Don't ever do not farm them from that store. They are all in nodes. Go through the node route for them, because war currency is so it has such high value that you should really only be going for Sif and Sinister, and then you should use it to unlock Carnage and Graviton, and then probably stop at that point. But yeah, it does suck that Carnage and Graviton that's the only way to get them, but like right now I kind of have a plethora of war credits, and I bought Mr. Sinister. But yeah, basically I'm kind of looking for bio pieces and tech pieces when it comes to war credits and stuff. I have Sif done. It's not a long farm to get through, especially since they kind of up the war rewards, but it's just has so much value, the war credits do, that I'm sure I'm going to get people disliking this video for even suggesting going for Nobu if you're 10 shards away. But yeah, so that does it for this video. Let's go back into the orders if you guys want to see it. Again, Black Bolt before Ebony, just because Ebony requires Black Bolt. I still think Phoenix is honestly better than Ebony, but Ebony you can use in raids and stuff. And then Invisible Woman and Shuri. Obviously, I had a guy the other day that he saw one of my farming guides for the legendary events, and he said, "Whoops, I farm Magneto," and I was like, if he goes, I really like Magneto, so I farmed him. And I said, well, if you really like Magneto, this game is a hobby. I get people take it competitively. I take it competitively. But if you like Star-Lord, go for Star-Lord. If you like Nick Fury, go for Nick Fury. I think, you know, as long as the MCU is still going on, these characters are probably going to get buffs and stuff as time goes on. Especially if they're making a Guardians 3. If they don't buff Star-Lord when that comes out, I'll be very surprised. If they don't buff Nick Fury to make an Avengers team to counter Thanos or something. Not that I would be surprised, but that's an option that they could go. So obviously these characters could have potential uses in the future. Heck, I know Professor X is an X-Men, but they could do a Professor X Magneto combination in the future in Arena or something. So you never know. But again, the reason why I just hold gold to a higher standard is because gold is the biggest bottleneck in this game, and I think it's more vital to get through that gold challenge than it is these last 3 legendary characters. And Iron Man's not on here because Iron Man is not a timed exclusive. So yeah, that's why. And then Block Party comes around every 2 months, so you have a little bit more time to farm for that. So that's why it's in the back. But that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. On this channel, I do guides, I do news, I do giveaways, I do orb openings, I do all sorts of Marvel Strike Force stuff. So make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell button for notifications. Let me know what you thought of this video, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.